Thank you. And thanks to all you all being here. It's a long day of conversation. It's a long day for all of us, and it's difficult to be able to go through all this information. The challenge of it is we begin to deal with the foreign aid and how we do this is the current budget realities that we deal with and also the strategy of what we're trying to accomplish. I am struck by the fact that we still don't have a clear strategy for what we're trying to accomplish with our foreign aid. And all of you gentlemen have given us some great information on the accountability on the other side of it, what is being done on the ground with it. So I'm very pleased to be able to hear that. But you have no idea how difficult it is to be able to explain to someone that's a civilian DOD worker it's about to be laid off up to 14 days of furlough time, who sees all the fraud and waste that happens around their base and is trying to figure out, why am I being furloughed when this kind of stuff is happening? It's very difficult to explain to someone who's a Social Security recipient or a Medicare recipient. They see all the fraud and the waste, and then they hear about this kind of stuff happening overseas with the dollars. You have done a great service to our nation of pulling some things out and of highlighting it and saying, these are the issues that we have to deal with. Mr. Carroll, specifically in your report, as I walk through it, and I'm amazed at some of the things in Afghanistan, when I was there 2 years ago to get a chance to visit with some of the folks on the ground, including USAID, I'm amazed at some of the things that we're involved in. And it's tough to be able to see how we've got Pakistani farmers, for some reason, didn't want our energy-efficient irrigation pumps. They wanted to use their own. But we were forcing those on folks to be able to have that. How we are doing sustainability projects that they can't maintain on the ground, like $73 million in an IT system in Iraq that they can't keep up with. Building schools in the West Bank and Gaza that they don't know how to maintain those facilities. That we are building roads in South Sudan that they can't maintain the road. In fact, the road has actually led to higher number of traffic fatalities, now that they can go higher speed on it. That we have $92 million in the South Sudan as well that's gone to an office complex. It's not actually being used for what we designed it for. That we give USAID aid to the Jordanian government. They've actually transferred over to military spending. And Afghanistan, for whatever reason, now 50% of our development aid we're going to send directly to the government, when it's been clearly reported here that 13 of these different agencies absolutely should not get direct cash aid from us because they have no accountability, no structure, no process in it. We're building hospitals. They don't have staff to operate. We're building power plants. They don't have the technology and the capability to be able to operate. We've got 43 different companies that may have terrorist affiliations that we have contracts with the Federal Government that we're spending American taxpayer dollars to. This is quite enlightening to go through the process. And we appreciate very much what you're bringing to the American people in doing the work that you're trying to do with it. The challenge goes on what Mr. Gosar was saying as well. It's the how do we fix it. I'm going to tell you the first option that I hear a lot is the first way we fix this is to do a lot less foreign aid. Mr. Carroll, you said you could give us 3 times more financial support to do oversight, and it still wouldn't be enough. There is a way to solve that. We do less foreign aid, and you have less to do in the oversight. And we're actually more efficient in saving some of those dollars. We're putting so much money out the door that we cannot oversee. The first step of that is we don't put money out the door we can't oversee. So we either have oversight in the process or we don't send it out the door. So step 1 for us is to send less out the door right now. And then at some point we can build up and have better oversight. We have that. What would you recommend as the step 2? If we're going to do step 1 is we put less foreign aid out the door until we can get to a process we can oversee it, what's step 2?
First, let me make clear that we're providing oversight.
Correct.
It's a large portfolio. I'd like to provide more oversight, but there is oversight being done. So I don't want you to think that there's a huge portfolio out there not being looked at. We do a risk-based analysis, and we prioritize our resources. I'm not here to defend direct foreign assistance or USAID Forward or IPR or anything like that. I'm not here to defend that. But theoretically, the agency has come up with a well-thought-out process in making decisions. For example, we've talked about the 13 ministries. They've not all gotten money. The agency is trying to be thoughtful about if there are red flags, they try to mitigate the red flags. If they can't mitigate the red flags, I don't think they're going to give the money. So it's not as if we identify these, dysfunctional agencies and we're going to continue to give them money regardless. I don't think that's going to be the case. If it is, we'll expose it. Mr. Sopko will expose it, and we'll stop it. It's a question of actually executing on the systems that the agency is putting in place to do the pre-award assessments. I think they need to do a much better job in, like Mr. Sopko said, getting out into the field and actually looking at the work being done. For many years, the agency relied on the implementers to give them performance data. So it's really all about accountability. I'm not going to, like we said earlier, we don't talk about the philosophy, the political decisions about the kind of programs that the agency is implementing. Our job is to make sure they're being implemented correctly and efficiently, and there isn't corruption, and we'll continue to do that. So it's a question of us doing our job, holding the agency accountable, but the agency holding themselves accountable and doing the performance kind of reviews that they should be doing to ensure that the projects are being done correctly. And if they're not, then either stop the project, redesign the project, and that's what we do too in our performance audits. We make recommendations as the projects are going on so they can make mid-course corrections to try and achieve their ultimate goals.
Right now, we're not being strategic in what we're building that can actually be maintained, and what we're building actually meets our national security interests, or what we're actually putting into the dollars, actually we get an achievement back out of it other than someone siphoning off the dollars. So that's the challenge we have right now is based on what you all have brought to us, which we're very grateful for, it is very clear we're putting too many dollars out there, unaccounted for, no oversight on it on the ground, and we're hoping things are turning out well, and they're not. So that we've got to fix.